Excuse my buns if they're kind of lopsided. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, hi, I'm Shakia Simmons. If you're not new, what's up gang? I appreciate you guys for coming back, y'all. This is gonna be like what to expect when going into the shelter. I've been getting a lot of questions on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and I just want to say briefly before we get on cracking with the video, I do appreciate every single last one of you guys showing major love to my empty apartment tour. Like, that video is almost at 30,000 views, you guys, so just clap it up for us. Thank you guys so much. I know we have a lot of new family members from that video, and as well as like other shelter content videos that I've been putting out. So that's why I just thought to do this video, to do like what to expect while going into the shelter, because I have a lot of people like DMing me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, as well as like them going into the shelter and they just don't know what to expect. So yeah, so hopefully this video helps. Make sure you guys thumbs up the video, comment down below what you guys think down in the comment section down below, and yeah, make sure you guys subscribe and turn your post notification bells on so you guys can be notified every time I drop a video, you guys. So I have to break this up into two parts because I do have like a lot of information to give when you know what to expect while going into the shelter. So this might be two parts. I'm gonna be looking down at my phone because I did write like a lot of notes here so we can be organized, because yeah, because it's a lot of information to be giving you guys. So when you're going into a shelter, the first thing that you want to do is look, and as well as like disclaimer as well, shelters going into like for New York State. Okay, I'm gonna make that clear because I have a lot of people like hitting me up from Miami and different states. I don't know how it is in like your state, but hopefully like this information that I am sharing with you would be informative so you can take these steps to do it for your state. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what I did. When you're going into like a shelter, you do want to Google like local shelters into your borough. If you're not in New York City, just look up some shelter intakes in your area. But if you are in New York City, look up some shelter intakes within the 5 boroughs. They have shelter intakes all throughout New York City. The shelter that I was at, the 2 shelters I was at, one was called Franklin. I'll put the address on the screen. I was at Franklin, that is located in the Bronx, and I was in my permanent shelter. I was only in Franklin for about 24 hours, literally 24 hours. That's why I tell a lot of people, like, when they are going into the shelter, I do suggest you to be working, because it seems though like if when you're working they move quickly. Like it was crazy because I literally got into that shelter, like I went in on my off day just so like everything, I kind of like played everything out how it was, you know what I'm saying? So I went in on a Sunday and then I was there literally all day. Like be prepared, that's something that also I'm gonna tap into a little bit. Make sure you be prepared because you will be there all day. Pack light too, like, because you don't want to carry like a whole bunch of stuff, like, you know, with you. You have a relative, like, keep your stuff there until you get placed into your permanent shelter, and then you take everything with you. You know what I'm saying? You know, when they move you into your permanent shelter, because your intake shelter, you're only going to be there temporarily. You want to get there early because you will be there all day. Just because like they're waiting for like a bed to be available, and then plus like they got to take your assessment basically to be eligible for the shelter. Because you know, like in New York City, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, like, you know, with the immigrants and all that jazz, like my dad was telling me, like when they ask you questions like that, like they would try to anyway they New York City drivers, huh? But anyway, would try to get you to go back to, you know, where you were staying at, and they would pay that person, you know, basically for you to live there. But that's not the goal, Bookie. We are not trying to go back to where we was at and stay there. No, we're trying to get our own. That is the goal. Like when you're going into the shelter, the goal is to go into the shelter, do what you got to do, get up out of there to get your own place. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the overall goal. Like, it don't matter what age you is, Bookie. All right? Because they got shelters for people that's under 21. Okay? For a lot of y'all don't know. Like I mentioned before, the shelter intake is a temporarily shelter. So that's why I also said for you to pack light, because you don't want to carry a whole bunch of stuff with you when you're going into the shelter. And like for some vouchers, like the City Fest voucher, you don't have to be working. So you do have to show some type of income. Like I mentioned this in a lot of my TikTok videos and a lot of my YouTube videos. I don't think like a lot of people be understanding what I mean, but you have to have some type of income. Like I heard stories of like a girl had wrote me saying like her friend's mom wasn't working, City Fest paid a voucher, paid a rent, da da da, and I'm just like, that doesn't sound realistic, because realistically, like they want you to have some type of income. Cool, you don't have to be working. I'm not stating like you have to be working, but working does make it better. But everybody's situation is different. That's why I mentioned as well, like you have to have some type of income, meaning you have to have some type of money coming from somewhere to be able to pay your portion. Not to say like you have to be working, but you got to have money coming from somewhere to pay your portion, period. But yeah, but that's beside the point. I'm gonna save the housing questions and the housing vouchers and how to find apartments and etc. in a whole separate video. Comment down below if you guys want to see that video. I'll probably break this video up into 2 parts like I mentioned before. You want to make it seem like believable to them you don't have nowhere to stay. Like you have to make this like, not to say lie to them, but just basically say like, listen, I was staying on my friend's couch, we got into it, like, you know what I'm saying? Make it believable to where like you don't have nowhere to go, because Bookie, they are going to try to get you to go back to where you was at before, pay that person that you was with so you can, you know, continue to live there. No, Bookie, we not doing that. That's another thing like they would try to throw at you, like, you know, but just keep that in mind. It's the shelters that they have. So there is single adult shelters, there's family shelters, and specialized shelters. So the single adult shelters, they are for single men and women, have supportive services, you know what I'm saying, that just is just for a single person. Family shelters, there are facilities and services provided to people that obviously have children and have families as well, have kids and stuff like that. Like if you have kids, if you're thinking about going into the shelter, you can go to PATH. That one is actually located in the Bronx. But we have specialized shelters that's specifically for the youth, domestic violence, well, aka DV survivors, and LGBTQ community, and as well as the youth. Like I mentioned before, there is shelters for people that is for teens that is under 21. Discovered that as well, like when I was at work and one of my prior co-workers was in a shelter, and I think she was under 21. So yes, there are shelters for people that is under 21, LGBTQ community, and DV survivors, and as well as the people with that has mental health issues. So if you are looking for a shelter specifically for the names that I mentioned, you can Google them to find it in the local boroughs. Within the 5 boroughs, that is Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Long Island don't count. But yeah, y'all already do that though. That's what to expect during intake. So while you're in this process right here, going into the shelter, you don't have like an open public assistance case. You guys just have like an open public assistance case, because that that's the longest. I think that's the only thing that was holding me back a little bit, I feel like, was the public assistance case, and that takes 45 days. I didn't even know that until I was in the shelter, and one of the caseworkers, she used to work at HRA, well, shout out to her, because Bookie, yes, HRA, and she was saying like for you to have like an open public assistance case, that takes 45 days just for them to review it, open it, and everything. And just make sure, like, as well, like before when you go into the shelter, make sure you have all your paperwork on standby, like your ID, your social. I don't think you need your birth certificate though. I think those are your 2 main things to have on standby. Permanent shelter, they would ask you, like, basically it's going to be like the same thing that you did during your intake in your permanent shelter as well. They're going to be asking you questions. When I went into my permanent shelter, like, I had got there at like until after like bed signing to leave, which didn't make any sense, because like, girl, we're not staying here, so why we have to wait till bed signing to get transferred to our permanent shelters? Like, what? But anyway, they gather you guys up onto like a school bus. If you have like a relative that can drive you, that's good as well. I think they'll give you the address and you could just go straight there, or if you have a vehicle you can drive there, because I know somebody that, well, I don't know them personally, but the person that was in the intake with me, like, they was leaving the same day too, which was crazy. So yeah, he just got his address, which was weird because I didn't even know Franklin can take men in there too. I didn't even know that. Like, comment down below. I didn't even know that. So I was honestly surprised when I seen him there. But anyway, when he was leaving Franklin, they actually gave him the address, so he just went straight to his permanent shelter. So yeah, you can be able to do that. And when all this happened, we left Franklin at like 11, so I didn't get to my permanent shelter until like, what, 4 a.m. because I think I was the last one off the bus, because I think I was the farthest. I was going to Queens. Everybody else was in like Harlem. Somebody was in Brooklyn. But yeah, a few of the girls that I had actually met. You know what's crazy? Because I actually need to text them and see how they're doing, because it's been a minute since I spoke to them. Like, overall, like, you know, all the other girls, like the girls that I met at my permanent shelter, I low-key haven't spoken to them. But anyway, that's beside the point. I just got to check up on them to see like how they're doing and stuff like that. Like I was mentioning before, I was the last one off the bus because I was the farthest. I was in Queens. My permanent shelter was actually in Jamaica, Queens. So if you guys want the address to that location, that's actually called the Jamaica Women's Employment Shelter. They say you got to be working, but you ain't got to be working, because there's girls in that shelter that don't be working. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, I was the last one off the bus. Went there. It was like the same rerun. Like, they gave me a big ass they gave me a big old packet to like fill out, and I was just so exhausted because I'm like, yo, I've been traveling all day. Like, I had just came in from work when they was telling me I was being transferred. I'm like, dag, like, I'm over here rushing thinking they waiting on me. Thinking they waiting on me, Bookie. I'm like, let me get all my stuff together. I had all my stuff locked up. I don't play none of that. And I had got like a lot of questions. Like, when I was at my permanent shelter, they was like, belongings get locked up and stuff like that. Yes, they give you a locker. That's another thing I should have mentioned as well. Like, when you are going into your intake, if you're in your intake for a long period of time, they do give you a locker. They do give you toiletries. They give you deodorant, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, towels if you need it. I don't suggest that because, like, Bookie, I'm a germaphobe and my skin is sensitive, and yep, I just can't do that. So personally, yes, I'm gonna get my own stuff, my own rag. I have my own rag, my own towel, my shoes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just be prepared. Like, you know, you want to get yourself prepared for this. Like, and you know, you will be possibly sharing rooms. That's also another question that I've been getting a lot. Like, it could be, it's like more so a dormitorial room. Like, you will be in a big old room with probably 10 to 15 girls. In Franklin, I don't know if a lot of y'all girlies that been in Franklin, y'all know Franklin is, you won't be in a solo room by yourself. Like, no, I think if you are in a solo room by yourself, I think it's only like that with the family shelters. Like, if you have kids, like, yeah, you will have your own secluded room with you and your children. Yes, I mean, I could be wrong. Let me know if you was in a family shelter. If it wasn't like that, let me know in the comment section down below. But what I've been seeing on like TikTok and YouTube, that's what it looks like, that they be in a room with their kids bottoms up. For single people, no, Bookie, is not like that. So keep that in mind, okay? And make sure when you guys are like coming in and leaving out, just make sure you guys are locking up your belongings, because you don't want your belongings, like, you don't want your stuff being touched or anything like that. That's anything, I would say. Keep this in mind, please. If you don't want anything touched or anything like that, do not be too friendly with these girls in the shelter, because you just never know, okay? Because everybody got their own story. Everybody's going through something. So just, you know what I'm saying, just make sure, just lock your stuff up. If you don't like your stuff being touched, lock them up, period. Just once you're placed into your permanent shelter, you would basically be assigned like your permanent caseworker. I think I'll meet with my caseworker every 2 weeks just to like update, just to see like how you're doing, how's the apartment going, like, are you still working? They want to see your pay stub. Just be nosy, being up all in your business. But yeah, so you're gonna be assigned a caseworker, like, to achieve like housing. Like, when you have housing questions, you go to either your caseworker or housing specialist. In my permanent shelter I was in, They had caseworker, they had employment shelters, employment specialists, a housing specialist. So you can go to them like if you're looking for work or you know, just to maintain everything, like making sure everything is good, like if you're still working, pay stubs if you're looking for work. And as well as they also help you, like some shelters will do this, but this was happening at my shelter. Like they would, like if you're looking for a job, they would give you places like to go get interview clothes, like if you don't have money for interview clothes, as well as they give you Metro cards too. That's how it was like at my shelter. I was honestly surprised. I was like, Bookie, I was trying to get me a Metro card, because Bookie, I'm like, yeah, I need me a Metro card, but a lot of them, they was like, Miss Simmons, you working, so you don't know. I'm like, whatever, but because y'all offering, so I'm gonna take it, period. But anyway, and then it was just like a lot of places where you can go, like if you need clothes or anything like that. I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of services where you can go if you need like clothes or anything like that. There's services out here for that. Be discussing like to see if like you have a open public assistance case and stuff like that, like I mentioned before. But I would suggest you to do this during your intake, like throughout that whole day that you're waiting. Like I mentioned in the beginning, when you're going to be waiting the whole day, take that time to open a public assistance case. So, you know, by this point, like the process would be moving kind of fast. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to have an open public assistance case. After I mention this, I'm going to end this video, and then we're going to start off with the housing voucher and how to find an apartment and stuff like that. So just make sure you stay tuned for that, because that's going to be in part 2, because this video is already almost about to be 30 minutes. And yeah, Bookie. You just want to make sure that you have an open public assistance case. That's why I was mentioning that in the beginning. You want to do this while you're waiting for your bed. Take this time out to open a public assistance case, because while you're in the shelter, they say that you have to have an open public assistance case while you're in the shelter. When you are looking for your apartment and stuff like that, and when you at the phase of moving out and getting your apartment and stuff like that, they gotta send the checks, you know, your security deposit, your furniture money, first month rent to the EBT card, you know, so it can go to your housing specialist, and your housing specialist can give it to your management, to your building, or the landlord, or whoever is going to be in charge with that. Hope this video kind of help you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below, like, if you guys are excited for part 2, because I do have part 2 coming with the housing voucher and how to apply for housing and how to look for apartments, because I've been getting a lot of questions about that too. So I just want to make sure, you know, I get this first out the way, and make sure you give you guys, like, you know, the video that anyway, yeah, to make sure to give you guys the information that y'all need to, you know, for when you guys are going into the shelter, if you don't know where to start and how to start. I hope this helped you. Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you guys like the video, make sure you guys give me a big fat thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys think, and make sure you guys stay tuned for part 2, because that's where I'm going to be mentioning the housing questions and the housing vouchers and stuff like that. And make sure you guys subscribe, because baby, we are on the road to 10K, Bookie. Make sure you guys subscribe, and turn your post notification bell on, so you guys get notified every time your girl drop a banger. Bye guys.